What's up, everybody? It is Lee Shushin K9 Training here, and today we're going to be doing a raw, uncut video with my working line German Shepherd, Niklaus Onyx Zietemik. He is currently 1 year old, and 1 year old, and he'll be 13 months May 16th, and today it is May 10th. So just to kind of go over what we're going to be working in this video, as I mentioned plenty times before in the past, we were making that transition over from doing obedience with food to completely doing it with a ball. So this would be an obedience session completely without food, only working him with the ball. So with that being said, since we just started doing that, you're going to see him kind of struggle to drop the ball at times. So we're in the process of teaching him the drop command. So you're going to see me put him in a relaxed position, which is basically plots, but it's me getting him to plots without telling him to plots, because you want plots to be like super fast. So you're going to see me hold the ball. It's a string attached, and I'm going to put him into a relaxed position. And there's two ways we're going to get him to drop the ball, which I won't spend too much time on. So I'm going to tell him to drop. He's going to drop, and I'm going to tell him good boy, but I'm not going to reward him right then and there. And then another way we'll get him to drop the ball is, after I give him the yes marker, once he does the correct obedience exercise, I'll tug with him for a minute, and then I'll tell him yes, and he'll walk away with the ball. I'll tell him relax, and like I say, he's going to go into that down or plots position, and you're going to see him drop the ball on his own, because you know how it is when a dog learns a new behavior. They tend to do it a lot, even without them asking. So if he drops the ball without me asking him to, I won't spend too much time telling him to pick it back up, but I'll kind of encourage him to pick it back up because I didn't want him to drop it in the first place. So to go over, the exercises we're going to be working today, we're going to be doing a little bit of basic position, just kind of getting him into that basic position, keeping the ball nice and high and at an angle. You want the dog looking directly up, obviously. And I'm going to reward him for getting into basic position, and then we're going to be going into a little bit of competition healing. So how you'll see it in the video, how we do competition healing, I'll start him off in a couple spins a few times. Then from there, we're going to go into a circle, and then we're going to walk straight out. I'll get him to do it maybe like 30 seconds, something like that, and I'm going to reward him each time. The dog is constantly, he's going to constantly anticipate that, so I'll cut the 30 seconds short. Maybe it'll be 15 seconds, maybe it'll be 20 seconds, maybe it'll be 30 seconds. So one other thing to mention, we are working this without a prong, a e-collar, or a leash. My trainer strongly believes that you should get the dog wanting to do the behavior without any forms of pressure at first. Then later on, you add the forms of pressure. So those are the things that we're going to be working on today. My main focus is just getting him healing. For future reference, I'll have a healing stick to kind of lift his head up a little bit more. And we'll have a prong and a leash to kind of fix his, if he's out a little bit, to the, right or left or something like that. We'll have a leash to fix that in the future. So my main objective today is to really just get him healing. So let's get started.
All right, everybody, we are back after the intro. So as I explained many times in prior videos, what you see me just doing with Onyx as our is basically to cue the dog to let him know we're going to be working obedience for the day. So as I explained that drill before in prior videos, it's just a quick spin to the left side, quick spin to the right side, and basically that's it. Anytime I bring Onyx on the field, this is what my trainer does with his dog. Anytime we bring our dogs on the field for obedience, this is what we do to cue the dog to let them know that we are doing obedience for the day. And the reason why we do that is because sometimes you bring a dog on the field, they might think that, they're going to be working protection or tracking. So it's just a cue to let them know we're doing obedience. So I don't have to spin them twice like that. I just choose to, or sometimes maybe I'll spin them once in each direction. So as I mentioned in the intro of the video, we're going to be working a little bit of basic position, but mainly a lot of healing. So also, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this is our we're still kind of making that transition from working for food during obedience sessions, and now working with the ball only. So I can kind of elaborate more on some things that I didn't want to talk about in the intro because I didn't want the intro to be too long. But first, before we started working him with the ball, we were doing a lot of ball drive building with him. And it's probably a little hard to see in this video, but he does have a lot of drive for the ball. The only thing is that, like, for example, what you see me doing now, I'm putting him into basic position, but he keeps barking. So the only thing is that we're not taking away the drive, but we're basically telling him, you know, you're not working for food anymore. And when I say we, I'm talking about me and my trainer. But I'm basically telling him, you know, you're not working for food anymore. You're now working for the ball. You can bark and be crazy for the ball, but only when I want you to. Because if I allow him to constantly bark like that during obedience, during basic position, during any positions, you know, that'll leak out in trials and stuff like that, and in training, and when we take the ball away and stuff like that. And you definitely don't want that. You know, you don't want to be on a trial. You don't want to be on an IGP trial, or, you know, during an IGP trial during an obedience session or the obedience part, and the dog is just barking all over the place. So you'll see me ask him to be quiet a few times, and I'm stern. You know, I have a stern tone in my voice when I say quiet, because I want him to be quiet. I want him to know, you know, you are doing a good job, and I'll praise you before and after the bark. But when you do bark, you're going to get you're going to hear a stern tone in my voice, you know, because I want you to be quiet. So anyway, so we're still working a little bit of basic position, and you know, watching this video back, in the intro, I talked about how I wanted to have my arm back. You know, when you're using the ball for basic position or for healing, you gotta have the ball and your arm pointed back to the point where it literally hurts or feels awkward. So I started off doing it, but then later on in the video, it kind of faded. So anyways, now we're working healing, which was the main objective for this video. And as I mentioned in the intro, we're not using any leashes, any prong collars or anything like that. No e-collars. And, you know, this is all beginner stuff. It's all important. It is very important for me that I get the beginning stages of everything that me and this dog do, because it's my first working dog. I have an end goal picture of what I want his healing to be like in the future. Of course, I want the beautiful competition healing prance, obviously. And, you know, I want his head pointed up more. I want his tail wagging. And that's why you'll hear me praise him a lot during these sessions, because I want him to know that he's doing exactly what I want him to. And I want him to know, you know, well, basically just that, you know, he's doing the right thing. So you'll see me kind of break him off into a spin. I don't do this every time we heal, but my trainer suggested, you know, because before we were doing the ready to work command with him, and he gets to barking like crazy and he gets super hyped. But we're kind of trying to dial that barking down a little bit now so it don't leak out during obedience. So instead of me asking him, is he ready to work? Which is, you know, if you do Shushin type training, IGP type training, then you know what the ready to work command is. But instead of me asking him, is he ready to work? Instead, I just break him off into a spin, and then I start my healing phase, and then he has to catch up with me. So anyways, this is why I take these videos, because, you know, watching these videos back, as I mentioned, my arm is not pointed back as much as it should be. But I was just trying to see what I did in the video. Looking back at it, he was kind of fading off a little bit during that healing part, so that's why I kind of fixed it a little bit. So and you'll see a couple times he maybe tries to go for a bite with the ball or something like that. Sometimes I ignore it instead of stopping the whole phase entirely. Sometimes we restart. It really just depends. And just like I also mentioned in the intro, we're kind of working on a drop command with him. So you'll see me kind of say drop a few times until he drops the ball. He is getting it though. Like before, once he dropped it, I had to reward him immediately. But now he's learning. He drops it and he hears a good boy, and from there we carry on with the obedience, and he gets his reward at the end. So you know, as I mentioned, this was just supposed to be a video mainly about healing. I wanted to just get it on the channel so we can look at or so I can come back and look at later, you know, how it was before and how it will be once we get that end goal picture, which is the dog prancing, his head more upright. You know, eventually the ball will go from, you know, me holding it up above his head to, you know, in my armpit. So that'll kind of help out a lot with him looking more upright as well. And then I'll have a healing stick to kind of adjust his head a little bit if he starts dropping his head. So right now we're keeping all these sessions short. I haven't, you know, if you look at this video when I'm calling him into basic position or when we start foosing or healing, I'm not putting a name on anything. You know, you don't name it until you like it. So, and it's not that I don't like what he's doing, but, you know, for example, look at the healing that we're doing. Yes, he is healing, but it's not true competition healing that you will see in a Schutzhund trial or, you know, with Schutzhund dogs. And not every dog, like if you know what Schutzhund is, then you guys know what I mean when I talk about competition healing. Not every dog heals the same exact way. Some dogs, you know, some dogs don't prance the way other dogs do during healing. Some dogs, you know, point their heads directly up at the handler. Some dogs' heads come directly up at an angle looking at the handler's face. So every dog is different. That's why I kind of document this, you know, get these videos to document, because, you know, I want to know my dog and learn my dog and come back to these videos to watch and get the videos on this channel. So we're probably going to do a couple of more and then we're going to wrap this video up. This was not really a long video. I just wanted to get a couple basic position videos. Well, a couple basic position, us doing basic position in this video and then doing a couple healing sessions in this video. And you can kind of see over time with consistency, he will eventually adapt that prance. Like you can kind of see him prancing slightly, but like I said, what will help him out with that is when the ball, you know, I got to hold the ball back to the point where it's uncomfortable. And then, you know, once he gets used to this, the ball will go under my armpit. And then from there, you know, we'll have a healing stick. So it's all just a time thing. And, you know, consistent work will really help this dog out, you know. So we're probably about to get ready to wrap this video up. As I mentioned plenty of times when I do voiceovers, I am unable to hear the video when I'm doing it. So I'm not really sure when it's going to end. But it should be ending right after this part. So, I think I'm going to break them. So, yep, that is the end of the video.